Since the dawn of time, mankind has built structures of power. Structures in which decisions were made, in which the powers in the land sought to determine the fate of their people. From the druids at Stonehenge to the scientists of CERN, from the dreaming spires of Oxford to the dark halls of Aldermaston, mankind strove to wrest control of its destiny from the gods, and to forge new tools to capture and wield the powers of the cosmos, sometimes for the better of the world, and sometimes for destruction and war. But when the great and the good gather together, when the princes and popes of the modern world meet in secret conclave, one structure is mentioned in hushed tones. One building in which are hatched the darkest of plots, the most heinous of plans, where the web of destiny is woven in nets to bind the entire world and to shake the very pillars of heaven. They speak of the Roofgarden Polytunnel. Good morning, garden friends. This is our third visit to the roof garden, so welcome once more. In our first video we had a quick look around. In our second we looked at the onions. And for our third video I thought I'd show you the polytunnel, the centre of the roof gardening universe. Well, as you can see behind me, it's a humble enough affair. It's about 10 foot long, perhaps 6 foot wide, 3 metres by 2 metres. It's smaller than the Crackpot Gardener's polytunnel, or of David V's sturdy wooden outhouse. It lacks the elegance and use of space of Grindle or Leslie's units, and it certainly doesn't have the sheer business of Suez and Bessa's glasshouses, or the beauty of Esther's flower greenhouses. And of course, it doesn't, like anything, compare with the magnificence of Dye the Plant's plant factory. But for all that, I like it. So, let's take a quick look around and I'll show you why. Well, before we look at the polytunnel proper, I thought I'd show you this. This is pretty much how it all started out. Well, really, it all started out with a kitchen windowsill with some little chilli plant pots on it. But then this is the first proper actual greenhouse type thingy that I bought. And the chilies carried on growing in this, and they were very nice too. Now, what happened after this, I got a slightly bigger little greenhouse. Oliver, if you can just spin the camera around, yep, like I showed you, just turn the camera around very gently. Yes, that's not quite how we rehearsed it, is it, Oliver? Sigh. Well, as I mentioned, my second greenhouse was a tiny thing, but slightly bigger than a grow house, and you could actually get inside it and sit on a comfy chair, which doesn't actually exist anymore because this is really only used for storage. The thing is, it's quite old now. Most of the PVC mesh is gone. It's just a web of holes, so not really much point to it, to be honest. Perhaps we ought to get a new one. And so we move on to the actual polytunnel proper. Sorry if it's a little bit crowded in here. I can't get the camera back far enough because the polytunnel the door has got a very low mantle. So if I put the camera outside, you'd sort of see, well, I can't do it now, but my head would be chopped off basically. Well, it's probably no different to any of 1,000 polytunnels around the world, except this one's mine, yay! Let's take a quick look around, shall we? Well, first thing to observe, you can see these bread basket things down here. Originally, they constituted the whole work surface of the polytunnel all the way around. But since then, I invested about 50 quid for 2 of these I think they're 2 metre long workbench things with stuff underneath. So for the first time I've got underbench storage, and boy oh boy did I need it. This wooden thing at the back is what I call the bridge. This was actually a leaf from an old dining table, and it's quite handy for, well, storing plant pots on. I mean, what else would you do in a polytunnel? It's also a handy little work surface. Probably in winter that'll be folded down just to make more floor space, or maybe not, who can tell. So we've got another workbench here. This I'm quite pleased with. I could have fitted an extra workbench in here, but I decided to stick with the bread baskets because underneath these plant pots are my 2 soil tubs. One for general recycled stuff from plant pots, and this one for fresh compost or seedling compost. And sometimes I put a heater wire in here if I've got damp soil from emptied plant pots. I can use this to dry it out and make it, well, I don't know whether it's any better for the plants, but it's nicer to handle anyway. Moving swiftly over here, you can see a few remaining Vision F1 and James Long something or other onions drying out. A couple of tomato plants. Pretty much everything in here now is Mediterranean herbs, tomatoes, chilies. What have we got? Capsicums, allegedly. Oh yes, there's actually one growing there. That's quite nice. I like that. More tomatoes, more chilies, and of course some salad stuff. 2 types of lettuce, some spinach, and some really hot rocket. I'm very pleased I was able to grow that because personally I think it's rocket science. Bum bum. Well, let's take a look underneath. Not a lot to say really. I mean, it's all just these boxes full of stuff. I've got high hopes for these toilet rolls and innards from kitchen towel. The Crackpot Gardener talked about these, and I'm going to review his video and probably do a similar one myself. Apparently you can use these as growing tubes for all sorts of things, and you stick them in your plant pot, and with luck the cardboard eventually dissolves, so you've got a sort of one use only, fuss free plant pot that never needs washing. That gets my vote. We've also got the library of Hessian books, of course. This middle box thingy is all the electrics and battery chargers and whatnot. This one on the end, I have quite a few like this. It's full of stuff that I can't work out where to put anywhere else. Originally it was full of plastic bottles for bottled carrots, but I've not had much success with them. I'm kind of going off that idea. My seed storage. Very handy. And down here we've got some onions, and that box at the bottom is all the owl's costumes and stuff, and never throw anything away. This is I'm the Boss's Farm. I'm sure you must have read about this on the blog area. Well, it's just plants, what can I say? This was an outdoor standing unit. In fact, I think it was a grow house at first, but I took all the PVC cover off it, and it just fitted in nicely as a shelving thing. And finally we've got me plastic drawers. These are all my tools. It's tools in the top one, fasteners and glue and things for sticking stuff together, string, sellotape, paper clips, you name it. Anything that makes one thing stick to another, that's where it's